Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey, Summit host, Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software and your host on the Virtual Summit Podcast. I'm excited for today. We got a different style of episode coming out. We are going to be doing one of our newbie summit consultations where you're going to be able to hear me or watch me live go through a consultation here with Brad Powell, who I'm really excited to have here with us. He was one of the people selected to come over and have this consultation on the Virtual Summit Podcast. So he's a brave soul. Thank you, Brad, for being here with us today.
That's great. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. So
hoping to be the poster child for One Day Summits.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. So he's a brave soul coming on, allowing us to record this as we go through his idea, his topic, and all of you listening in, you can essentially pull out your pen and paper because you're going to have a lot of these same questions, same thoughts, and you can kind of sit there on the side with us and have this virtual consultation as well. So we're going to kick it off. You're going to hear me now moving forward with Brad and his topic idea. So let's jump in. All right, Brad, here we are. So let's start off with, why don't you kind of give me a brief kind of idea, like what's your industry, what's your niche? Give me a little bit of background on you, and then kind of what your summit idea is. You don't have to give me everything about the summit idea because we'll dive into that a little more. Just give me a little background so I know where we're going.
Okay, so I work as a video consultant and a video coach. You can kind of think of me as a personal trainer for making video. And I like to work with business people who are wanting to grow their brand online and help them do that using really simple tools and good storytelling with video. And my summit idea is to create a summit around how to grow your brand and monetize your brand using video. And I think the One Day Summit formula is a really great way to do this sort of right out of the gate. Seemed really simple and much less daunting than something much bigger. So that's what I'm after. And what I'm excited about is that a little bit different than other types of summits, I'm going to be able to do video reviews as part of each interview. So the whole goal is to show best case practices so that as I'm talking to the different experts and the different ways that you can use video, we'll be talking about things that they've done either themselves or with their clients and actually be able to show those actual videos so people will be able to see, oh, that's the way that works.
Excellent. So we've defined, we're looking at a one-day summit. What is the two questions here? What's the end goal? Where are we going to be taking this audience? Well, actually, we need to determine, is this a list builder or is this a premium one-day summit? Is this like, what is the type of one-day summit we're going to be running here?
It's mainly to build a list. So it's a free event. And then I will be, in terms of a post-summit strategy, nurturing people to come into a group program, which will all be about video branding.
So is that like a membership or a one-on-one coaching or an online course?
Well, it'll include a membership. What I'm actually offering as a bonus is that I do have a membership site, and everyone who upgrades during the time of the summit will also get access for a year in the membership platform. And then that group of people I'll be nurturing into going into an actual group training course, group coaching program.
Nice. Okay, so then we're going with a list builder. We are going to be turning that after the summit into a, so again, the clear offer after the summit that you're going to be selling is a group coaching program, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And can we get, like, would you have price points on these that you're thinking? Group coaching and then the summit for the all access?
Yeah, well, the summit upgrade will be I'm looking at before the summit happens, it'll be $47 to upgrade, and then $100 once the gate closes.
Mm-hmm.
And I will actually close the gate the day of the summit, but I intend to do flash sales during the stream. So it's like, okay, in the next 15 minutes, you can get it for the original half price, and try to drive purchases that way.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Cool. And then, so we got the one-day summit. We got, who's the avatar of this? Who's the ideal person who's going to be watching?
The people I'm looking for primarily are either business owners who are wanting to, again, grow their brand using video, and or marketers who are working, digital marketers who are working for a company and they want to use video to grow the brand and develop a personality piece for their company. And a couple of the presenters I have are actually going to speak directly to that, because this is the kind of thing that they've done really, really well.
Cool. And then what's the actual problem that the avatar is suffering from, that they're acutely searching?
They're not visible enough. They've got a great message, they've got a great mission, they got a great business, they got a great product, and they simply are just not out in front of enough people. And or they're suffering from doing traditional marketing methods that aren't working very well, or they've been trying to do online marketing with social media and it's not getting good results.
So help me with, how are they, like, so what is I understand the problem, but this is a part of the messaging we're narrowing down into here is,
yep,
what is the actual pain point? Like, what are they? Because most of them are not going, I'm not visible enough. They're saying I have X, or like my cash flow is low, or so what's the thing that they're saying or thinking that they're suffering from?
Well, if they're client based, the main thing that they're thinking is I don't have enough clients or I don't have enough leads. One of those two things. It's pretty universal. Most people are in a place where they're just not getting enough leads.
So if we're going to be using kind of that direction or that terminology, it's really important to really narrow down on who the avatar is. So, because we've talked about like business owners, entrepreneurs, small businesses, we need to know who that person is, because you need to be talking to them, because if not, they're going to go, oh yeah, like they're getting hit with that, right? All the time. Like, you need more clients, need more leads. They're like, yeah. And they don't even pay attention. We need to say, hey, Brad, video story consultant, are you suffering from X? And they're like, oh my gosh, they knew my name. Like, that's what we're looking for. So let's work through the avatar a little bit more, because I feel like that nothing else matters about moving forward until we're clear on that.
Okay. Well,
and maybe this will help too. Like, sometimes what I'll ask is, who's one of your favorite people to work with? Because ideally you're going to be working with these people.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my clients have been coaches or consultants, and they're terrific at what they do. And they're suffering from either camera shyness, they're just literally afraid to show themselves in a lot of different ways. They don't really like going to networking events. They don't like to stand up on stage. They don't like to get in front of a camera, even though they're just brilliant at what they do.
Like introverts, potentially.
Yes, right.
Okay. And I apologize in advance. I should have said this before we kicked off. Because we are limited on time, I'm going to interrupt at times just to make sure we can keep getting the information, because I want you to get the most out of this call.
Yeah.
So when you said coaches and client, and we're on to something really good here. You said coaches and clients. What industry? Let's go pick one, and what industry?
Well, I mean, the coaching industry itself is pretty broad. I mean, a lot of my clients are more in what I would call the transformational coaching realm. And, it could be as narrow as, health and fitness, but I'm not, you know,
Well, here's the thing with the one-day summit, and I'm not going to say you have to get that narrow, but you could totally get that. I like transformational coaching. We've now that's much different than business owner, right? we're
yep,
getting somewhere with this.
for
However,
sure.
I will say, just for you to like note down in your mind, you could take with one-day summits, because I mean, five speakers, right? 5 to 10 speakers. You
Yep.
could, and it's way more specific if we're talking to transformational coaches in health or healthcare or dentistry, even, right?
Yep.
Than transformational. So later, you may want to test that with a different niche or industry, because you also are going to be able to build those strategic partnerships with people specifically in that industry and then specifically in this industry. So just keep that in mind. For the sake of time here, we'll stick with transformational coaches. I like that, because
Okay.
now the wording is going to be way more specific than even coaches in general. And I
Sure.
like where we're going with this on the camera shyness, right? So in other words, introverts, and I think we're kind of there. We won't spend too much more time on this aspect, but you'll want to massage that and go deeper with it. The point of that, like what I liked about what you were saying, is you were going to tell me a story, and that's the best thing, is when you can tell a story about a specific person who's an introvert, and maybe that's your story as well, or maybe it's not. It doesn't have to be. But when you can tell that story about the person who's literally feeling their hands shake, their palms are sweaty, they've got the mic set up in front of them, they can see their face on the camera, and they're like, what am I doing? My blood
Right.
pressure, I can see the blood going out of my face, and and you can talk to that level.
Yeah.
That's when they see that and they go, it doesn't matter what else you've got, just you're my person, let's go. That's
Yeah.
the first start to a relationship, is you understand them. So that's kind of the level you want to get to. I usually will talk about, and this will be important as well for your summit, the different like the different places they're at in their journey before they meet you. Okay. So we a lot of times talk about where they're at in the journey after they meet us. We want to talk about the success step, but that's going to be more you can tie that into your summit, but that's more about the post-summit profit strategy. What we want to do to get them in is, what is the one or two experiences they've had? Like we'll pick one, for example, like I'm looking at my calendar and it's completely empty and I need clients.
Mm-hmm.
What did I
Mm-hmm.
feel at that moment? Like, what did they
Mm-hmm.
feel? And they knew they needed to do whatever it is they needed to do, and they went to do it, and they had that emotion. If you can talk through that story, that's where we want to get to, right? And then maybe one other one where they're like, if I don't get another client this week, I can't pay rent next month or next week, whatever. How did they feel? Okay. So we want to talk about that. And like where I'll dig deeper with people usually, but we won't get in this for time's sake, is I'll also ask, like, what was the conversation they had to have with their spouse at that moment? Because usually they remember that conversation and that had direct emotional attachment to it. If we can tie into that, like, honestly, you already have them. And here's the best part about that. Like we talk a lot about telling the story, the summit story. So that's the story we kind of want to tell. And you can incorporate that into your email communication. You do that, they don't even actually have to attend the summit to be ready to move forward with you. So that's the beauty of the story. Okay. So let's kind of package that. We got this over here. I want to work a little bit more on the, let me actually ask you this, because I'm jumping in this. Maybe you have some specific areas you want. Usually I dive into this first, because if we talk post-summit profit strategy or summit offer or whatever, it doesn't really matter if we don't have this narrowed down. But do you have some specific things that you're wanting to get out of this?
Well, this is it. I want to make sure that my messaging that's going out before the summit is as good as it can be. Otherwise, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure you weren't like, Mark, shut up for a second and just tell me this one thing about speaker recruiting.
No. This is actually the part that I want to focus on the most.
Perfect. So we're going to keep going in this direction. And this is where I would want to spend time anyways, because like you just said, if we don't nail this down, nothing else really matters. And honestly, when you have that nailed down, like I was just saying, sometimes they don't even have to be on the summit to have success. So, okay. So let's go now more to the summit concept. Okay. So we've narrowed down the avatar a little bit. I understand the topic and where we're going, but the problem that, we're talking about is that this is a transformational coach that needs more clients, but we're obviously not going to call or theme our summit that, right? Because that, like, if they see get more clients, get more leads, I'm already tuned out because I see that 1,000 times every day, right?
Sure.
So how can we break that problem down even more into something that's really painful? And or there's two aspects I usually look at, and it depends on your personality. We can go with either one. What's something that's confrontational or something that's just not ever talked about? The reason I say that is, like, for example, you know, like people will be like, you're not, like, if you're familiar with like the Russell Brunson click funnel, one funnel away thing, they'll be, you're not one funnel away. And it's like, what? Did you just say something contradictory to Russell? And then they'll take you, like, so something that's going to break through the noise. So like having that in your mindset, either confrontational or something that's just not talked about. What is something in that scope of the problem, getting clients and leads and whatnot?
Well, let's see. I mean, what I see out there right now in terms of video is that the people who are making video are generally failing, like, or flailing. You know, they make a video and it's crickets. You know, there's not very many views. They're not getting any engagement. There's just not much happening. And so the brave ones, the brave few who are out there actually pointing the camera at themselves and doing stuff, most of them, you know, 90% of them are just kind of flailing and they have no idea how to do it or what to do or why it's not working. That's one whole theme that I see. And the rest of the crowd are just too afraid to do it. They're like holding back and hiding.
So now you've brought up a good point here. So which one of these two is it that we're targeting?
Well, I would prefer to target the people who have already taken the step to give it a try.
Okay.
Because they're going to be easier to coach.
So are these still our introverts that are just, they're struggling so, or like they feel the pain so much that they're doing it anyways, or are these a different type of person?
Well, that's different levels, right? Mm-hmm. I think that they're still, I mean, most people are still holding back and they're still camera shy to a certain degree. I mean, I think camera shyness is really common and universal, even though people have been performing and doing stuff in film.
Let's jump into this person who's already starting it. And here's the thing. The other, like, when we talk to this one person, let's just call him Jim. When we talk to Jim, we're going to get Bill and Steve and whatnot are going to trickle in anyways. But if we don't talk to Jim, we don't get Jim or any of them. So we've got this shy person we can package over here. Maybe that's one you do a specific one-day summit to later. But if you're saying, let's get the person who's already moving forward with this, it's not specifically that person. So what is the challenge? And you've already mentioned that to some degree, the crickets, the videos aren't failing. So what are they feeling? Let's talk about what they're feeling.
Well, the thing that they fear is that they're putting all this work and it's a complete waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
and in fact, that's the way they regard social media in general. It's like, well, I see social media as kind of a necessary chore, and I'm putting all this time investment into it, and it seems like a total waste. I'm like, it's just not. I don't know. I don't see the return.
So, what are coaches? We're still going to be targeting transformational coaches. What are they typically doing that, other than video, that's not working? Like the things that they have to do that is just not working.
Many of them are posting on Instagram. It's a really easy thing to do, posting on Instagram or they're hanging out on Facebook and doing Facebook social media stuff of one kind or another. And maybe even on Facebook, they have a group and the group isn't very active. They've got 100 people in there and it's still crickets. And so they're just sort of looking at it with wonderment going, why isn't this working? What do I need to do to make this go?
And then keep going.
And then when it comes to, like, if they've tried video, they just have a big question mark about it. They're just like, okay, so here I'm trying it. I've made 50 videos and nothing. I've even talked to people who, like, they made a video every day for a year and nothing really happened. It's amazing.
So we need to pull something out of this that's gonna, and you may have to massage this more after this call, but we need to pull something out of this that's gonna catch their attention. Essentially, like what we want to do is we want to meet them where they're thinking and where they're feeling. So they've got to be thinking, something's not working for them.
Yep.
And then how are they feeling? And we want to create the summit around that. And like I said, either controversial or something that people are not talking about. So like what I was kind of thinking of or going for, and this is not the right thing, but like why video is failing you, or why you're not good at video, something like that, that they go, wait,
Yep.
like, or why you shouldn't be doing video, right? Like, so for, like something like, and then of course we're going to teach them everything they need to know, but we need to meet them where they're at with the pain point they have and what they're feeling. So we're going to kind of, let's jump into some of the topics that they need to know to solve this problem. Let's kind of move into that.
Okay. Well, one of the topics that I'm looking at are they have to get their messaging down really clear. And they need to, part of the messaging in terms of how they communicate it is through storytelling. So they need to figure out what story they want to tell or what stories they want to be telling and what are the different storytelling styles. And they need to practice so they're comfortable with the medium. And so they need to get into sort of a very, ritualized thing where they can just practice and it's done without thinking about it too much. And then they need to think about the style of video making they want. They could be doing interviews, they could do talking head, they could do documentary style, those kinds of things. And, beyond that, I mean, the advanced parts are, a little bit about like which platform are you going to focus on, because there's several video platforms that you can use that are all different. And then how do you scale it? Like once you're doing video, how do you then start reaching the audience that you want to?
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your Virtual Summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
Okay, so actually, I just had a couple things pop up, and I like these. These are actually pretty much spot on. I really like where these are going. 2 questions. Is there a platform that you don't recommend that people are using, or that you think is a waste that people are using? Because that could be one of those kind of controversial standout things, like why you shouldn't post videos on Facebook, for example. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, it's more of it's like the answer to that is not entirely a no, but each platform has its own limitation.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say, why organic video on Facebook is never going to do anything.
Okay. So
just as one example.
If there's not a really solid no or yes on that, I won't waste our time there. But what I would say is you could actually have an individual one-day summit just on that. And you could be like, why Instagram is no, and do it all on Facebook. Why Facebook, and then do another one on why Facebook is no, and do it all on Instagram. Just right. And again, that gives you the opportunity to reach out to the Facebook experts, the Instagram experts, et cetera. So then the other aspect, let's look at it like this then. What is the thing that they're doing? Let's say they're doing the videos. Okay. Like this is the audio avatar, but something they're doing is not working. Like one thing, like what's one big thing that they think they're supposed to be doing when they're doing their video that they're doing wrong or they're not doing correctly?
Yeah. Well, the biggest mistakes are things like they're broadcasting, as in they're talking to, they're treating their video like an ad. Mm-hmm. So they're either broadcasting and not engaging. So it's a broadcast instead of a conversation. That's one big thing. And or they're treating it like a commercial where instead of giving value, they're trying to pitch right away.
And I totally agree with that. That's why I'm like, where should we go with this? So what I kind of like on this then, instead of taking more of like a controversial angle, obviously, is more just like why video's failing you, or why it could even be something like why you're not cut out for video, or why do you have a face? Why do you think you have a face for radio? I like that actually. Or maybe actually in this topic, like normally I'm more of like just on the pain point, but I think we could cover the pain points very well with the story. So like, maybe like a subtitle or in your homepage video, and then everything else that's going to be communicated. Maybe this could, here's the one thing, like maybe this could be pretty specifically on how to make your videos not suck or something like that, right?
Yep,
Or how to
sure.
make videos actually work. The one thing I would say is that in this, like the messaging under that has to be very clear to that avatar, which means you got to be super clear on the avatar, because there's other people out there saying that type of thing. So I'm always kind of looking for, like, what's the thing that nobody's saying or that's going to just grab headlines.
Mhm.
If we're going to say something that's kind of already out there a little bit, we need to make sure that it pops with what we're, like, the call to action.
Yep.
So I like the subcategories underneath this, and with the story. Oh, one of the things that popped out into my mind, I wrote this down, is, so we talk with Summit Stories. We got the Summit Story arc, which is the overall story, and I would pick that one avatar, and I would tell each of these segments from the story of that avatar, right? So the way we want to look at summits is like a Netflix series, right? Like a movie. And we have characters. You're the guide. The audience is the hero. Our speakers are our mentors, right? So we want to tell the story along that one-day summit from the avatar's perspective. So we have Jim, and Jim is at every part of this story, okay? We don't go from Jim to Mary to Sam. Jim.
Right.
And Jim, which is great, is because now we know how to either interview or we can have our speakers provide the correct information, is this person, right? And we can talk to Jim about what he's doing, because you know Jim, or whoever the avatar, and you know the mistakes he's doing. He or she is literally going to be watching your summit going, it's like he's been watching me, which is kind of creepy, because maybe now with Facebook and Google, he can watch me. I don't, whatever. Like that's we want to be in their mind. Okay. So there's that.
Yeah.
And we have the summit action arc, right? That's the experience or the adventure we create. And with yours, you have a lot of opportunity to create an experience or adventure, because you can have them do these things you're teaching, have them do small aspects of it. We call this like a feedback loop. It's instead of a passive experience, it's an engaging experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about, like, there's different practice or styles or different platforms or whatever, you can have them do like small, like do a 10-second video of you doing this one technique, post it here, post it there. When you do that, it increases the engagement, skyrockets, which increases the conversions on the back end tremendously. So make sure you tie some of that in. We've got the story, kind of the overall story idea. The one thing I'm just not like super set on yet is like the overall kind of grabbing of the theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, everything else, I think is going to be pretty much a breeze for you. Like, you can easily get a specific speaker. I honestly think the best idea, do your first one, get it under your belt. Okay. Just move forward with it.
Yep.
But I think you should even be going niche deep. And because if you, for example, if you use Virtual Summit software, you have the Ever Summit feature. So you can literally, like, I call them Summit series. So I do like the Influencer Summit series. I got the Hero Summit series, and I just go into niches and I build my audience based on where the people are at.
Right.
I think this is perfect for you. And it doesn't have to take much time. 5 speakers, right? Boom, you nailed it. So with the last, 5 minutes or so we have left here, I want to kind of put it over into your court and see what else do you want to go through, what else still remains unclear. What else can I help you with here?
Yeah, well, I really get that. First of all, just this sort of the main message that I want to throw out there has to be like, okay, what's the pain point and how can they go, oh, that's me. At the same time, I definitely have already been thinking about doing this as a series and doing a series of summits, one-day summits that are in different niches. So I could do, fitness trainers as one group, and I could do realtors as one group, and on and on. Like they all have different reasons for wanting to do video, but they all have a really good reason for wanting to do video. And they all have they have a very similar thing that's holding them back from doing it up until now. And yeah, this thing, I'm really gonna have to think about what's the hook that's really gonna ignite them in terms of, oh, yeah, this is my problem. I mean, the things that I've been thinking about is that there are certain businesses at a certain level that they're doing pretty well where they are, and they know they want to scale or they want to grow to the next level, but they're really concerned about burnout. And they're really concerned when they look at any kind of online marketing, they're looking at it like, oh, this is going to be this huge chore And I want to appeal to them as a way that, well, there are ways that you can do video marketing that aren't a huge extra thing to what you're already doing. You can actually create a system where it fits right into what you're doing. Like if you're doing live video, you can just fit that into your life. And you don't have to do any editing, and you like it's very, very simple. So I'd like to be able to appeal to that kind of person who is really wanting to grow. Like the advantage is you can be reaching, thousands and thousands of people, and it won't take you a lot of time, and it won't cost a lot of money, and it won't burn you out. Because I think that individual that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of like, well, if I go for this, I'm going to burn myself out, or I'll spend way too much money, and the money will just go down the tubes, and it won't come back.
With that, I would say one of the better activities you can do when getting super clear is, again, think back to specific experience, like a specific moment for that person, and understand what they're feeling and what they're thinking, because that's going to be universal. It becomes a little bit more generic and more difficult to come up with that information if we're trying to talk like, well, they're in this overall situation. It's like, well, that covers a lot of different people in a lot of different spots. Whereas if you really nail it down to like where are they at? And it's about picking one person. And the thing is, all the other people are going to filter into it, right? Because they're going to go, well, I actually have that problem too. I have these problems as well, but I have that problem. Let me check it out. But it's only by being that specific that actually happens. When it's general and generic, they could just go, it's more content, it's more information, I don't need it, I can't do it. So I would really challenge you to make sure you dive into just pick 2 or 3 different moments in that person's journey and look at that experience and what they were thinking, feeling, and saying, and hone in and target on that. And honestly, I feel like, if you want, it would be a much bigger kind of undertaking, but you have a multi-level layer here of potentials with summits. You got this overall umbrella of summits of, one-day summits of the video aspect from a realtor, a trainer, et cetera. But even under that, you got individual platforms because of your topic. You got a one-day summit for realtors. You got a Facebook one-day summit for trainers. You got an Instagram or whatever. So you've actually, and I wouldn't I hesitate in saying that because I don't want to give you analysis paralysis. Like, oh my God, now I got all of these. Pick one, get started with one. That's why I said it's okay. Just go with transformational coaches versus, healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. Because after you do the first one, you're going to get a lot of feedback. You'll also see how relatively easy it is to get these out, and you'll have that process already down. You'll be able to move forward. So kind of in the last minute or two we got here, what else? Is there anything else that you want to ask me or that I can help you with before we have to kind of wrap this up?
Let's see. Well, I think, the kinds of things that I've been thinking about, first of all, this is really helpful. This is great. And, yes, I can come up with a story and I can do a series of things like this. This sounds awesome. And I guess, I just want to get clear on when I'm doing this in terms of the whole summit story arc, and I'm going from speaker 3 to speaker 4, I want to be carrying the baton of here's where we are so far, and here's here's where we're going next kind of thing. And that, in listening to some of the stuff that you put out already, I love this way of doing it. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting clear on, well, what is my summit story? And make sure that everybody who's participated, and the other thing that I really get is if I can do interactive things along the way, it's sort of well, take this little thing for a quick win, and they're doing that as the day goes by. That seems really, really cool. And I want to come up with some really good ideas about, okay, so each step, what can you, go do this, post it, and then we'll keep going.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
So just two bits of feedback on that, and then we'll wrap this up. Is I think your overall story is the mission that you're taking them on. So once you get really clear on the avatar, you're going to know what's the end goal. So the mission is, how do I know I've achieved the goal at the end of the summit? Like what is my, it's almost like the transformation. Like, how do I know I'm over here now and I've achieved that? And then that mission, now you bring it backwards. And that's why I talk a lot about like, what's the experience? What's the story? Like, what's that person feeling? Because stories are actually more about like what we're feeling, either happening to us or from us is a story. So we can tie those stories in, but we can talk about it like, depending on, and this is different for every summit, and this is one of the reasons I think it will improve summits across the board, is when you're talking about messaging, right? You're going to give a story of what Jim was feeling when he's trying to do the messaging, right? Or you can tell the speaker, this is Jim and this is where he's at. Come at messaging from this. Versus broad and let me cover everything about messaging. No, like we want to keep we want to keep the sessions concise as anyways, but we want to go as deep as possible in that short amount of time. So by letting the speakers know who Jim is and where he's at in that session. So maybe it's not saying like, we're taking Jim, like it's morning now for Jim and now it's afternoon for Jim. No, maybe it's like Jim is now trying to figure out his messaging. What was an experience he went through when he tried to do this before? Now he's trying to do a video, but he has no storytelling. So what's happening to Jim when he's doing a video without storytelling? And so that's the overall, that's how the story ties together. Now, if you map this out in advance, which is what we recommend, you know what's happening in the next session, which is technically the next scene. You can leave cliffhangers at the end, which is how we make it binge worthy. Like a Netflix series is like, well, I can't stop now. I got to watch the next session because now I need to figure out my story. I got my messaging, but now I need my story. So when you tie it in like that, that's when it becomes viral or binge worthy. And then the action, like a suggestion with this is one, it's feedback loops. It's things that I can do that make it interactive. So a lot of times we talk about this from a sponsor aspect, make them go like on scavenger hunt type of things. So with this, the best thing to do is like the best, most convenient thing is having like a group, and that's where all of the feedbacks happen. That's where they do whatever. Or if you have like a chat group or like chat under, but then you have to monitor every chat for every speaker or whatever. We like to just do it in a group where it's all there and it's easy and they get notified when things are happening and it's social proof. So you've got the easy thing of having them just do something and post it there, but you can also do like the engaging thing. Like another thing for you, since this is video, like something that popped up into my mind, is you can go live in that group and bring some of them on and have them do things like, because if they're trying to get better at video, why not bring them on video and work through one or two of those things? Again, that's feedback loops. That allows them to engage. And even the ones that aren't on the video that are watching it, they're engaging with you in the comments and chats. It's like you're saying, like, don't be a broadcaster, tell a story, like engage, right? Cool. So any final thoughts or words before we wrap this up here?
No, this is really cool. I got it. This is super, super helpful. So great.
I'm glad that it was super helpful for you. I'm excited for this. Once you get a little further along, make sure you're posting it in the Facebook group and things like that. I love to watch summits, and especially ones that are telling stories like this. And to be quite honest, I could probably benefit from some of your information as well. So be sure to post your summit in there. For all of you listening here on the Virtual Summit podcast with us, help me give Brad a big high five and a round of applause. Brad, thank you for being brave enough to hop on here with us and let us pick through your idea. Thanks for joining us, Brad.
No, thank you. This is great.
Absolutely. And thank you, all you Summit hosts, for spending this time with me and Brad. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software, and your host here on the Virtual Summit podcast. Make sure you check out the show notes for anything we've talked about in this episode. You can go over to podcast.virtualsummits.com/069, and you can see all the resources we've talked about here. Additionally, don't forget that your message matters. So make sure you go out and make an impact in the world, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.